How I came to live in Kingston, Jamaica. After finishing my first year of college, I returned home to Trelawney to stay with my mother. I began writing resumes and making calls, hoping to find a job that would allow me to save money and return to school. I remembered that my older cousin had been working at a hotel, so I called him to see if he could help me find something. But he explained that his contract hadn't been renewed, and he was now living in Kingston with his father and brother while they searched for work themselves. They suggested I come to Kingston to try my luck. At first I hesitated, but then I thought to myself, nothing tried, nothing done. So I made the decision to go. It would be my first time traveling to Kingston alone, and years had passed since I had last stayed there. When I arrived, the environment was completely different from what I was used to, but I told myself I had to adapt. My uncle lived in a high-rise building on Spanish Town Road, his apartment on the second floor of a 4-story building. It wasn't a safe place. Dons and politicians ran the area, and at least 3 or 4 people were killed by the gun each month. Life there never seemed to sleep. Music blasted all through the night. Shops stayed open past midnight, and people, even children, roamed the streets as if it was still daytime. It was a world I had never experienced before. Part of me was excited to see it, but another part of me was afraid, wondering if I would even make it out alive. As a countryman, I didn't know the codes of Kingston living. I didn't know how dangerous certain situations were or what was the right way to act. After a few weeks though, I began to meet neighbors and grow more familiar with the area. My uncle was a disciplined man, and although we were young adults, he laid down strict rules. If we broke them, he warned, I would be sent back home. We weren't allowed to go certain places, mix with certain people, or stay outside past midnight. Most importantly, no one was to be allowed inside his house. Of course, like any young men, we sometimes bent those rules, but we made sure he never found out. My real reason for moving to Kingston was to pursue my dream of becoming either a police officer or a soldier. I researched the requirements and learned that I would need a valid passport or national ID, along with my birth certificate and CXC certificate. I had everything except the passport or ID, so I planned to apply for both. Since I was just a visitor, I lived out of my backpack, carrying only clothes, deodorant, my gadgets, and a few documents. I realized my documents were getting damaged from being stuffed in the bag. So I removed the envelope and asked my uncle if I could store them safely under his mattress. He agreed, assuring me they would be protected there. We were living on the 2nd floor of the building. On the 1st floor lived a woman old enough to be my mother, though she looked far younger. She had several kids, including one around my age, yet she carried herself in a way that made her seem more like an older sister than a parent. She was sexy, stylish, and always put together. From one of her rooms downstairs, she ran a small shop out of her window, selling snacks and essentials. I often bought things from her there, and over time she became a familiar face in the building. I never expected her to look my way. After all, her son and I were the same age. One afternoon, I was on the balcony, and she caught me staring. She called up, "Why you watching me so?" I shrugged and said, "I like what I see." She laughed. "I'm too old for you, son." "Maybe older," I said, with a grin. "But I'm a big man for you." I chuckled and added, "Give me your number, and I'll prove it." She said she'd think about it, and walked away. The next day I was back in the same spot, and she came out again. She spotted me and asked, half teasing, "You still watching me? You really watching me?" I smiled and said, "Give me your number, and I'll stop." She did. We started texting. I told her I might be young, but I was mature enough and knew how to keep my mouth shut. Before long, we were meeting in secret, just me and her. We hid our things, kept our meetings quiet. Not even my cousins knew. It worked for a while. Then came the time for me to apply for my national ID. She offered to take me because I didn't know where the office was. That Friday evening, I told my uncle, our neighbor downstairs will come with me to apply for the ID. He didn't know which neighbor I meant, but his response was sharp. I told you not to get close to those people. Now you and them are friends. All right, go ahead. Do what you want. Just be careful. It wasn't the answer I expected, but I decided to go ahead with the plan anyway. By Sunday evening, I began preparing. I went to collect the documents I had placed safely under my uncle's bed, but when I lifted the mattress, the envelope wasn't there. My chest tightened.